Good morning, everybody. I just got that key to that classroom so I can go study. And what a great day. I went to Walmart before class and I was watching this video on a sermon by Times Square Church, and that pastor's amazing. You should check him out. I think his name is Colton Collin or something like that. Here we go. And something that I realized and saw happen, I want y'all to see and be inspired and encouraged. So I do not have a job at a church. I'm not a pastor. I am not working in a high-end facility. If anything, rap is probably more so deeply appreciated and seen like culturally in lower end society. So in saying that, I want you to listen to how God can work no matter what. So I was in my car and I'm sitting there and this guy was talking about living for God. And so in that, I turned off the sermon when it was almost over. And in my own mind, I decided that I am going to listen to God and what he wants me to do today. And let's see. So there were two people in the parking lot. One of them was smoking a cigar, and he was a kid. He's probably like 20 years old. And then this girl was probably maybe like 23. I don't know. So I walk up to him, and I introduce myself. And the reason why I walked up to them is because I felt like, in my car looking at them, that God wanted to speak to this one kid in particular, but I felt like God wanted to speak. And so I just obeyed that. And I walked up, introduced myself, and they asked me what I went to school for. I told him about art, told him about music. Then he asked me, hey, will you freestyle real quick? It wasn't anything extravagant. It wasn't anything crazy. Probably was not the best thing on planet Earth. After a couple minutes of just like hanging out, he's pulling out his phone, videoing for Snapchat. They're laughing. They're asking me about like where I'm from. I'm talking to them. So like right there, that is showing how God can open up people to open up to you because he is the one moving. And so it's just cool to see these people like be open and have a second where they're not so like tied up, I guess. And so that opened up a door for me to tell this kid, D, why I came over there and what I felt like God wanted to tell him. And he was like, I really think that you came over here for a reason. And then he moved on. That happens all the time, by the way. So then I'm in Walmart and I'm leaving and I see this girl. And I felt like I just wanted to encourage her day. So I walked up to her. I was like, excuse me, ma'am, how are you? She's like, I'm good. I said, I'm Noah, nice to meet you. She's like, oh, I think she said Naomi. And I sat there for a second and I was like, is there anything that you need prayer for? Like, is there anything that you're going through? Is there anything tough in life? And she's like, no, not really. I'm just trying to graduate school and get hired or get a job. And I was like, where do you go to school? She's like, I'm going to cosmetology school. Now this is dope. I was like, oh, well, you should look up my mom on Instagram because she does Lime Life by Alcone, and they have representatives who sell makeup, and she's going to cosmetology school. And she's like, oh, wow. So right then and there, I was able to connect this one girl with literally my mom. And I was like, okay. Do you see how God did that? But I had to be willing to say something. Like, I had to be willing to, like, speak to this girl who I had no idea who she was, not caring about if she was going to think that it was socially awkward that I was, like, introducing myself or, like, talking to her. And it turned out not to be like that. And it's like, that girl, what if that girl was sitting there in her mind, like all of us do, and it's like, I wonder what's going to happen. I wonder about my career. And then some random guy comes up and says, oh yeah, by the way, I know you're going through stuff, but here, let me encourage you. Look my mom up on Instagram. Well known around Shreveport for cosmetology, like you're talking about, and hair. And there's a complete opportunity for her. And I say, have a great day. God bless you. How do you think that made that girl feel? I bet you that made that girl feel like $1,000. Not because of me, but because God was looking out for her. So then I'm driving away. This doesn't happen every day. This doesn't happen all the time, like people after people after people, but sometimes it does. But again, not all the time. So I'm riding back. I'm going to school. I'm just like, wow. And I see this black kid. I mean, he's probably like 26. I don't know. Walking down the street with his Whataburger clothes on. And I was like, should I turn around? I was like, yeah. So I turned around, and I was like, boom, roll down the window. Hey, you need a ride, bro? He's like, yeah. Comes over, put my stuff out of the back seat. I was like, what's up, bro? He was, what's up? I was like, how are you? He's like, good. What's your name? He's like, Rico. I'm like, I'm Noah. Nice to meet you, bro. He's like, all right. I was like, where do you live? He's like, you know where the Blue Gym is in the projects? And I was like, no. You're talking about Ingleside? And he's like, what? I was like, Ingleside? And he's like, do you mean East Side? And I was like, oh, yeah. He's like, yeah, that's where I live. And I was like, okay, show me where to go. And he's like, all right. So I was sitting there. I was like, what's your name again? He's like, Rico. No, dabbed him up. Boom, boom. He's like, that's what's up. So I'm going down the street. Boom, boom, boom. And here's something that I realized. This is actually going to lead into another point about music for me. I realized this. That kid, this was like a representation of maybe how this happens. That kid lives deep in the projects, and East Side is probably, in a way, like unintentionally segregated because everybody else doesn't really like go into East Side. So if you are a white kid at Louisiana Tech, tell me right now if you've ever gone into East Side, like by the hood. If you've ever, anyway, we just don't go over there. So, this is dope. I picked him up and I'm driving. And I was like, thinking, wow, this right here is a representation of God. Because maybe this guy is looking at this white kid and he's saying, wow, you stopped. And again, this is no like, look at me. This is just encouragement because I do want to get to a certain point. Wow, this white kid stopped his day on his way to school with whatever and his privilege, and he offered kindness to me and a simple ride home, and he cared about me. And so that right there, I think was really dope. And so I'm driving away, and I really felt like God wanted me to tell him this. I was like, what kind of music do you listen to? And he's like, oh, I listen, no. And I was like, I go to Louisiana Tech, and I'm a rapper, bro. And he's like, really? And I was like, yeah. He's like, let me hear it. Typically, when I show people, I usually show them this one. I just think it's really cool. It's the 90s beat on my YouTube. Beauty rest, don't get it twisted with who's impressed. Loosely dressed, a generation of loose respect. Proof is checked by demonstration, you choose the rest. And it's like, I'm showing him this video, and I can just tell that he's like listening to it and enjoying it, which was dope. So, anyway, take him home, drop him off, daps me up, boom, shut the door, and I drive away. I didn't even really like have a sit down with him. It was literally just, can I show you this kindness real quick? Because I'm about to go to class. Look, I'm in this classroom. I'm about to study and I'm about to do some work. Anyway, on my way to school. So, this is what I want to encourage you with. No matter what you do, again, I do not have a suit and tie on. I am a senior at Louisiana Tech College. I play basketball probably once a week. I have dance practice once a week right now. I'm in the studio, or I'm in the gym, or at work, or I'm posting some kind of video on my Instagram. And it's like, I think that God, to you, is saying this. If you will give me your heart, if you will give me your mind, if you will give me your soul, your strength, and your feet, and your words, I am right there and I will show you. That's how a person who works at Whataburger can have the exact same amount of joy, if not more, than a rich person. Why? Because God is present in the Whataburger worker's life. And if that person is listening to God's voice, he will see God and see him move. A rich person can absolutely neglect God's presence and be surrounded by consumerist things, materials, money, and lose sight of all joy. You're actually better off with God, even if that meant, I can't remember what, there's a proverb, it's like, I would rather be poor with knowledge and wisdom than rich and foolish. And if you, in your heart, know that you are somewhere that God has called you to be, or maybe you don't really know exactly what's going on, let me encourage you with this. Just give God a chance. If God encourages you and moves you to speak to somebody, go do it. If God encourages you to do X, Y, or Z, do it. Not out of like, I have to, but it's like, if our lives and our hearts and our minds are in a place, in a state of prayer, we'll want to do what God wants us to do. If you're not spending time thinking about or being with God, you are probably very unlikely to care or do what he's asking you. You know what I mean? So it's like, okay, say I'm a boss right now and I'm in this classroom. If you never came in here ever and you worked for me, but then you convinced yourself that you were like passionate about doing my vision for this business, you'd really be kidding yourself. Because you don't come in here, you don't know my heart, you don't even know like what I want to do. Like, yeah, I give you a paycheck, but it's like, see these seats at this table? It's meant for you. And, you know, even when it's like nothing is happening, do you still show up and like, you know, dissect the vision of this business? Okay, it's kind of like that with God. Like, if you don't spend time with him and you don't care about him when nothing is going on, why, when something is going on, do you think that like you would all of a sudden just hop up and do it? Like, you wouldn't, because you didn't do it when it was easy. So you're definitely not going to do it when it's hard. But the dope part about what I'm saying and what I experienced today is that God can do things in your life. Well, I'm just a student. I'm a young a 19-year-old girl with brown hair at Louisiana Tech University, and all I do is go to class, and then I have one little extracurricular thing. Don't really have any friends, and da-da-da-da-da. Okay, so you woke up at 8 a.m., then what? Did you go to school? And did you go to the grocery store? How long do you sit there and scroll on Instagram and look at random pictures? And then by the time you've watched 6 YouTube videos, it's time to go to sleep. What it really could look like, put the phone away, read your Bible, pray, and say, ooh, God, let me invite you here. Like, I don't want to just sit around and do nothing. And so today, my awareness of God allowed me to see God move in like 3 different people's lives. And again, that does not happen every day. Some days I never do that. And it's like, there's like this conversation about like, oh, well, just be careful because the enemy will tell you to do this and God will tell you to do this. And so you got to be careful. That is true in a sense, but God is not going to like confuse you. He's not going to finesse you, and he's not going to like tease you. He's not going to egg you on just to like, yeah, God's not going to do that. But here's another example. There'll be times I'm like, ooh, should I talk to that person? And I pray, and he's like, nah, don't. Okay. So it's not like, that's good news, I didn't want to. No, it's not like that. It's just like, dude, like, think about this. Before you were saved, nobody knew. You didn't know nothing. Imagine somebody in your shoes and how many times you're like, man, I wish somebody would have came and said something to me. Wouldn't you want to do that? I would, exactly. Like, I was living in my apartment all alone, like with people that were bad for me, and then I was really by myself. And it was like, I don't know. Like, I wonder what would have happened if some older guy came to me. He was like, hey, bro, look, it doesn't matter what everybody says. It really, none of this matters. Like, let's go to Jesus and forget the world. Like, let's turn the lights off and let's pray. Like, what if we do that? And, like, let's realize and believe for Jesus. Like, I would have been like, let's go. Like, what? Yeah. And it's like, I really didn't have any friends. I was trying to meet people, but I just didn't really. And so I was praying for it. But, man, it's crazy. Like, when in the Bible it talks about, like, promoting someone. And it's like, I think maybe sometimes people think of that as, like, just one little step higher on the on the rung of the ladder. And I think it's actually more powerful than that. Like, you know, it's one thing for you to become the CEO of a company, but if you have no favor and you have no, like, wisdom and character and, like, reputation, I don't really exactly know that is, like, any different than being a worker there. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, you have the highest title, but if you are not, like, known as a godly man and you don't have favor and you can't, like, move in God's will and in his presence, again, I just don't know that it matters. But when God promotes you, it's like this. Kind of like Joseph and Jeremiah. I'm reading that now. Like, Joseph was like, okay, well, I'm going to be the king, but now I'm in prison because my brothers finessed me. All right, well, guess what? That boy got to own the jail. Like, they were like, oh, yeah, you're here? Well, guess what? You're so excellent. We'll give you the keys to everybody. Like, take it over. Forget it. So as he's in prison, he's still living the best. Like, he's living the best out of everybody. He gets food. Why? No, he's such a great talker. No, because he's excellent. And he was like, all right, I don't care that I'm in this place. My brothers finessed me. Great. God's with me. Let's go. Boom. Probably gets finessed again. Bam. All right, bet. Hey, who can interpret my dreams? Me, because I hear from God. Really? Yeah, nobody else in here does. Just so happens I'm the owner of the jail cell. All right, bet. He tells this guy a vision of his dream. And he's like, will you get me out of here? Like, will you tell them? And they're like, yeah. Okay, well, he didn't. All right, bet. I think he was in there for like 2 more years. Boom, now he's out and he's going to be in the palace of the king. What? Yep. I can't remember if he was a cupbearer. I can't remember what he was. But he worked for the king. Unfortunately, the woman finessed him and like tattled on him and said that he tried to rape her, which is a lie. And I think he got in trouble again. Boom, boom, boom. Keep working his way. See, you can probably see the line, the thread running through it. God is my strength, is my rock. I will not forsake him. Boom. Finesse me, great. I got Jesus. Do this to me, great. I got God. Don't care what you say, because one day I'll be great, and Jesus Christ is my king. Boom. Now, that dude is the king. What kind of king? Crown on his head, ring on his finger, robe on his back. And his brothers are bowing down to him, begging for mercy. Don't, we're so sorry. Da-da-da-da-da. Guess what that boy's doing? Weeping. And he's like, hey. Dude, that would be so dope, bro. Like, I don't know. And he, like, protects his brothers. He's like, it's okay. Wow. That right there is, like, that's love, man. And it's like, I don't care what you did to me. Like, we're good now. That's godly promotion. Guess what? Something happened to him, but what's the first thing he said? He did not look at his circumstances. His circumstances said, you're in jail, buddy. Man, you've never been in jail, dude. Do you know what happens in jail? People go psycho. You know why? Because they get locked up in a room, chained. They get in an orange jumpsuit, and then they say, this is who you are now. You don't get to leave. No matter what you want, you are in this room. Forget about it. You go psycho. Oh no, I got stuff at home. Da-da-da-da-da. No, you're not getting out. Anything you want, you get fed when I feed you. You do exactly what I say. You are like property of the law. But guess what? Jeremiah was like, I know God, so I'm not tripping about this. I don't care, because God's still in this room. If you did not have God and that happened to you, and you were going to try to make it out with your own mental strength, it would not happen. I'm telling you. So, luckily, none of us are in jail. And I pray that Jesus, it stays that way. And I encourage you to take whatever God has blessed you with seriously. For me, it's music, rap, and art. But the crazy thing is if I don't do that, nobody will see God in that avenue. You know what I mean? If I said, okay, I don't want to do that, doesn't really seem like for me, I just want to go 9-to-5 business job with a suit and tie. Okay. Who would see God in rap? I don't know. I really don't know. Who would see God in painting? I don't know. Would my school have seen it? Nope. Why? Because I'm not doing it. Do you have the gift of caring for people when you're in nursing? Practice that now. Hit up somebody who needs your help. The blind guy at church needs a ride. Or he's like, hey, da-da-da-da-da. Or it would really help me if you could, like, came and, like, clean my apartment, like, with me or for me. Or, like, cooked for me because I can't see. Do you want to be a speech pathologist, or do you want to be a psychologist or whatever? Okay? How can you practice that now? Like, can you be that? Like, okay, be. That means exist as that. What does that mean? You're only that when somebody hires you and tells you that's what you're meant to be. Wrong, because the second you're not hired, that's not who you are anymore. I'm not hired as a rapper. I'm literally in no man's land. Ruston, Louisiana, smallest town there is, bro. I mean, come on. Who's in this room telling me I'm a rapper? Jesus, that's the only person I'm telling you. Well, then how do I know that? Exactly. You got to spend time with God or you will never know. So imagine Reach Records, the biggest Christian music record label that there is, right? Okay. Say head honcho walks in this room, boom, sits down right there at that chair with a binder and says, hey, guess what, buddy? You're not cut out for this and you're not a Christian rapper. You're not a great artist. Guess what I'm doing? Walking straight out the door and going back to making rap music and art. So, dear Jesus, bless everybody on this thing. My mom's calling me, about to get off the phone. Let's encourage each other. A great thing is communication. DM each other, send each other verses, send me verses. Let's pray for each other. Boom, boom, boom. EP's dropping very shortly. Hope you enjoy it. Be bold and go talk to somebody. Don't overextend yourself, but also have the love of Christ in your heart and be like, hey, I love all you, and I do love all of you. Peace, love, deuces.